this is a video that I thought was worth talking about because it's something that I have already said, and now we have people like Shuhei Yoshida basically saying the same thing. Basically saying the same thing. Um, and this comes from something called generation generation Amiga. Generation Amiga. Okay, this is interesting. And actually, I would really love to know where they got this from. Um, but it's a very interesting read. So, a former Sony executive Shuhei Yoshida says indie games are the future of gaming. The future of gaming is indie, not AAA, according to former Sony executive Shuhei Yoshida. It is a statement that arrives at a difficult moment for the video game industry where blockbuster productions are larger than ever, but also slower, riskier, and more expensive to make. For years, gaming has been driven by the idea that bigger means better. Bigger worlds, bigger budgets, bigger studios, longer campaigns, cinematic presentation, and global marketing have shaped the modern AAA model. Yet the industry is now facing a different reality. Some of the most interesting ideas are coming not from the biggest publishers, but from independent developers working with smaller teams, clearer concepts, and a closer connection to players. Yoshida's view carries particular weight because few people have watched the modern games industry from such an influential position. As former president of SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios, a role he held from 2008 to 2019, he was closely linked to a period in which PlayStation strengthened its reputation for high quality first party titles and helped define the contemporary console blockbuster. He's not wrong. Sorry for yawning. He's not wrong. Um, so, from PlayStation's blockbusters to indie advocacy, Yoshida's current interest in independent games is not simply a matter of personal taste. It reflects a wider shift in how games are made, distributed, I cannot talk, and discovered. He has suggested that he no longer focuses heavily on AAA releases because they often require too much time. That point applies in more than one direction. Large games take years to build, absorb huge budgets, and often demand dozens of hours from players. For many people, that scale is impressive, but also exhausting. It is. It's very exhausting. I can say that I've been playing Skyrim, and it is very overwhelming. There's just too much. To me, anyways. Oh, thank you. A video's done. Video's done. Um, the AAA model is still produces major successes, and it would be wrong to suggest that blockbuster gaming is disappearing. Big franchises continue to dominate sales charts, showcase new hardware, and create global entertainment moments. However, the pressure behind those games is becoming harder to ignore. When one title, I should be wearing glasses, when one title requires several years of development and needs massive scale sales to be considered successful, publishers become cautious. Risk is reduced. Familiar brands return. Sequels, remakes, and established formulas become safer than new ideas. Independent developers operate under different conditions. They usually do not have the same resources, but they also do not carry the same financial burden. A small studio does not need to satisfy the entire global market. It can focus on a specific audience, a distinct mechanic, or a strong artistic identity. That is why indie games increasingly feel like the place where new ideas are tested first. I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that. I think people are just looking for a good time. They don't need latest and greatest. They don't actually necessarily need new ideas. They just want more of what they love. A lot of indie games are pixel art and whatnot because a lot of games are just the kind of games people want to play. And a lot of people just gravitate towards that kind of stuff, especially the gray gamers, which I talked about in another video. And I'm a gray gamer. I'm getting old. It's getting harder to play these newer things. It costs too much money. So yeah. Where was I? Um, where was I? One of Yoshida's key points is that digital platforms have transformed the market. In the past, publishing a game often required access to physical retail, large distributors, and major publisher support. Today, developers can self-publish on digital storefronts, and each player and reach each player's direct reach. I can't talk. Reach players directly. God damn, I can't talk. That's lowered the barrier to entry and changed the shape of the industry. Create a game Creating a game is still difficult, but it is more accessible than ever. Modern engines, online tools, asset libraries, middleware, and global digital stores allow small teams to do work that once required far larger organizations. A developer could build a prototype, release a demo, gather feedback, launch into early access, or publish globally without following the traditional route through retail shelves and publisher gatekeepers. Yeah, that's ridiculous. This has created a market with more games, more competition, and wider range of quality. Not every indie game succeeds, and many disappear quickly in crowded storefronts, but the overall effect is clear. More people can make games, more unusual projects can reach players, and the medium becomes less dependent on a handful of large companies deciding what is worth funding. Yeah, that is so annoying. I hate that. The growth of digital distribution has not made success easy, but it has made access possible. Independent developers can now bring games to markets without relying on the old. I love how they say "bring something to market," like we're in a we're running a ranch, a cattle ranch. We got to take that cattle to market. Uh, Structure that does not remove the need for quality marketing or timing, but it does mean that the next important game can come from almost anywhere. Why AAA gaming feels under pressure. The AAA sector is dealing with a sustainability problem. Development cycles have grown longer, teams have become larger, and player expectations keep rising. A modern blockbuster is expected to offer technical polish, cinematic storytelling, strong performance, post-launch. It's too much. I'm going to say that for me, too much. Post-launch support and enough content to justify its price. Meeting all those expectations is expensive. The pressure, and it wasn't like that a long time ago. Hell, the PS1, hell, even the PS2 era wasn't quite like that. Not quite, not exactly. There was some of that was true back then, but not all of it. Not all of it. The pressure often leads to conservative design. If a publisher is investing heavily in one project, it becomes harder to approve unusual mechanics, shorter formats, or experimental art direction. The game must appeal to as many people as possible, which can make it feel broad but less distinctive. Large scale production can produce excellence, but it can also create safe, familiar experiences. Players are noticing this. Many still enjoy AAA games, but there's also fatigue around oversized open worlds, live service structures, repeated formulas, and releases that feel built to occupy time rather than respect it. A game with hundreds of activities is not automatically more meaningful, than a focused experience that knows exactly what it wants to do. Players want ideas, not only scale. The modern player, God, how long is this fucking thing? Holy shit. Do I really gotta read this son of a bitch? What is this? I'm more worried about what Yoshida has to say. Can we get down here to, oh wow. So really, I don't have to read all this because everything from Yoshida was at the top. They were using Yoshida as a gateway to get you to read all this shit. And I'm sorry, but I don't have time to read all this shit. A lot of this is opinions I've already voiced and everything. But the long and short of it here is that people want just to have fun. They don't want to spend a shit ton of money. They want to maybe see something new, maybe some good ideas. They don't want to, I don't know, especially a guy like me. I don't want to spend $70, $80 on a game. I could end up hating it. I could end up getting so far into it and being like, this fucking sucks. I don't want to keep playing this. I'm done. I can't stand this game anymore. I want to play something simpler. I keep wanting to play simpler shit on my streams, man. I like Minecraft because even though it's so broad, it's also simple and you don't have to go, you don't feel like you have to get so far or do so much. It's relaxing to an extent. And hell, I was playing older games the other day and then I don't know. I would like to go back and play some more Twilight Princess like I was playing. That PC port of Twilight Princess I was enjoying. Oh God. I get the point that Yoshida is saying here though. Like I feel like we got to get back to basics. I feel like games shouldn't cost that much to make. They shouldn't be that long. They should be a fun experience and you should be able to move on. I don't know. I can't speak for others out there, but I'm tremendously fed up with all of this. I'm existentially dreading a lot of games that come out. I see it, I want to play it, but I'm like, oh my God, how much of my life is that going to take up? When I was younger, games didn't take up that much of my life. Once you completed it, that was it. You might try to beat your high scores, but that was it. You'd go back to play it because it was fun. But now, my God, I don't know. I felt like this was worth talking about in a video. And I might live stream after this. I don't know. It's almost 2 a.m. I don't know. I was asleep and I got woke up by a jackass in my neighborhood. Which, by the way, I'm fixing to upload a video showing what I'm going through. I don't know how well people are going to be able to see that video, but it's what I keep going through in my neighborhood. But I think that's really all I got to say. Like, games don't have to cost that much. Games don't have to be that big. Games don't even have to be realistic. Like, I'd be fine if we went back to PS1 as the PS1 era. Like, I love that era. PS1 era was great to me. I loved playing stuff back in that era. I can't be alone in that opinion. Like, I really loved playing games in that era. Because we still had we had some 2D greats coming out like Symphony of the Night, but we also had some cool, fun 3D stuff going on. You know, and I don't need visuals to be that realistic. I really don't. I think it's getting to a point where AAA is competing against the past and it's competing against small indie studios. Like, it's got a lot against it, you know. And some people might look at an indie game, which is like or not an indie game, but a AAA experience and go, that's $80. I could spend $80 and get like 4 indie games and have about as much fun. You know, 3 to 4 indie games. I think it's not respecting anybody. The industry no longer respects the consumer. It just doesn't. We have become so much so we're just numbers now. And I think it's starting to show, you know, exactly what's wrong. It's starting to show the issue with doing things that way. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think Xbox is dying and everything. They don't know what they're doing. They don't respect the consumer. Sony doesn't respect the consumer, and Nintendo's getting to where they don't respect the consumer. All these big companies don't respect the consumer. Do you know who seems to respect the consumer? Maybe I'm wrong. Steam, Valve. Valve seems to respect the consumer. How the fuck did we get here? How did we get here? Greed. Greed is how we got here. Greed is greed. You know what? Let me go back to my face. Greed is how we got here. How did we get here? We got here because of greed. We got here because of wealthy motherfuckers who thought, hey, you know what? Screw them. I don't care. I want as much money out of them as possible. Let's just take and take and take. See what we can get away with. See what we can get away with. And that's what it feels like. It feels like the big boys are just pushing things to see what they can get away with until it destroys them. And I feel like that's part of what's going on with Xbox. Like they jumped the gun big time a ways back. They screwed up with the thing where always online, you couldn't share your games with your friends. Like at that point in time, they screwed up royally. Xbox did, and Sony swooped in and goes, "This is how you share your games." But even so, Sony is forgetting that now. You can't share your games on Sony anymore. I know. I got news for Sony and Microsoft and all these big boys. The only way you can prevent that is just to go completely digital. Get rid of the physical. That's the only way you're going to do it. It's the only way. I've said enough. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.